Come on. Well, good evening and welcome to True Crime with the Bad Girl, the Playa, and the Stars. I am Benny Scala, the one and only Playa. With me, as always, is my partner in True Crime. She is a New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Famer. She is Archie's mom, and she is setting the airwaves on fire as the newest DJ on Funland Radio. And I'm talking about the very bad co-host, the Boston Bad Girl, Brittany Brown. Brittany, how are you? And congratulations, man. You really killed it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I am doing well. I am so happy because here in New England today, it is like in the low 60s and it's just really nice. I have my sliders open at this hour and my dog is happy. I'm happy. You know, how are you guys doing?
Doing all right. Weather here is very nice too. And it's all about keeping Archie happy, right? That's
well, exactly.
Yeah, I get that with Bree. The whole world revolves around Bree. Who, by the way, is celebrating her third birthday on Wednesday. So happy birthday, Bree. I'll say it on the air.
Oh, happy birthday, Bree.
And she's got a vet appointment. I feel so horrible. I booked a vet appointment on her birthday. I hope she forgives me.
Wow, what a
my God.
dad. How could you?
I know. I'm going to have to maybe
closer, Benny. I'd switch with you. Archie's is tomorrow night.
Okay. Yeah, I'm worried about how much it's going to cost, but what are you going to do? It's like having a child. It really is.
Yeah.
But she's worth it. And rounding out her all-star panel is Tiffany Starr. Tiffany, it occurred to me last week that one of your main missions in life is making sure that your dad, Dangerous Dave Starr, behaves himself. Would I be correct there? And also, is that even possible?
I was gonna say I try, but I don't think he can be tamed. He's a wild one.
Yeah. I guess Brittany named Dave and I the deplorables. Is that? Or Dave, I guess Dave named that. Where him and I have deplorables, yeah.
The horribles?
Deplorables.
Oh,
I guess was that a movie? I heard that was a movie. I've never seen it.
I think it is. I've never seen it, but I think it is.
All right. But yeah, that's what we are now. But so we got to pay the bills real quick, and then this is going to be a really, really, I sound like Ed Sullivan, really good show right here. Give me 1 second, and here we go. This is Benny Scala, the one and only Playa, and welcome to another episode of True Crime with the Bad Girl, the Playa, and the Stars. Folks, we're very excited to be announcing our new sponsor, the Free Spirited Company. Free Spirited is a phenomenal old-school clothing company that specializes in long and short-sleeve T-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, graphic tees, heck, even yoga pants. These T-shirts are, to quote Rocky's manager, Mickey Goldmill, a wake of art. Yours truly will be rocking the Free Spirited merch on each and every episode of True Crime with the Bad Girl, the Playa, and the Stars. Not only are these shirts eye-catching, but they are very comfortable as well. Like what you see? Please go to shopfreespirited.com and use our special code MP20 to receive a 20% discount on all purchases. Again, that is shopfreespirited.com, and the code is MP20. As the poet laureate of the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel, I will leave you with this. If you like what you see, go buy a tea. Heck, maybe even 2 or 3. When your friends tell you, hey, you look like the bomb, send them over to shopfreespirited.com. And true to my promise,
yes,
I am rocking the merch.
Oh, nice.
Love it.
I tell you what, they are very, very comfortable. And when you order them, I mean, it's like, I don't know if you guys have, Jimmy John's. Do you have Jimmy John's up north?
Yeah.
You do? All right.
We do. It's not like a lot, but we definitely have it.
I worked at a car dealership in Minneapolis, and we would get, because we needed to eat quick, and we'd order Jimmy John's. I swear to God that I would go online, type in my order. I'd go in the bathroom and pee. And like by the time I got back to my desk, there was Jimmy John's. And I was telling like, what took you so long? But they are very, very fast. You get these shirts within a week. And usually my bowling shirts, they take about 3. So it's a great company. The shirts are $11.95. I think it's like if you put in I think it's MP20, you get 20% off. They always have deals. It's a good company, free spirited. I had never heard of them until I bought one of the shirts, but now I'm hooked. But anyway, guys, onto the show. And I know we all know this song. He's got the whole world in his hands. But tonight we're going to be talking about someone who he was actually a multimillionaire before he was 25, traveled the world, and while being one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. And I'm talking about the Subway guy, Jared Fogle. Now, Jared did have the whole world in his hands. The problem was what he actually wanted in those hands. And he really got himself in a pickle. All right, no more bad food jokes. But the bad, maybe one more. But the bad girl and Tiffany are going to take you through this sad and tragic but true story.
Yeah, this is something else. Boy,
Oh, God.
every time I turned the television on, I saw his face. I mean, he literally was the face of Subway for quite a while. So he was also a very heavy child who would constantly snack while playing hours of video games. By the time he entered Indiana University in 1995, he weighed over 400 pounds. Wow. Now that looks like Chaz Bono.
Holy shit! It really does. Oh my God, identical. Wow. Yeah, he was 400. Wow, that's a lot of potato chips.
Yeah, for a young guy, that's a really big size. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after a car accident caused by sleep apnea, Jared resolved to losing weight. He did so by eating twice a day at a Subway restaurant on campus. His diet consisted of a small turkey sub at lunch and a large veggie sub with baked chips and a diet soda in the evening. His weight miraculously dropped from 425 pounds to 180, and he became the subject of an article in the Indiana Daily Student newspaper, which was then picked up by Men's Health magazine. So the Men's Health story caught the attention of Subway, who reached out to Jared to incorporate his story into their marketing campaign. His initial commercial caught up on so quickly that he was offered $1.1 million for 1 year to make commercials and appear at grand openings. Imagine that.
You were right, Brittany, though. I mean, like, you could not watch TV for like an hour without seeing that guy. And we're talking like he started this in 2000. I mean, you're talking like he had a 15-year run where, like, I think he made over 300 commercials. That's a lot.
It is. And think about all the grand openings and all the stuff he did. I mean, he was literally in one town or another every single day.
Right.
For Subway.
Yeah. And he was a kid. I mean, he's like just fresh out of college. I think when he started in 2000, I think he had a job before that for maybe a year after he graduated. There was Indiana University at Bloomington. But then, 23, he's making $1 million a year for Subway. It's amazing.
That's crazy.
It's amazing. It's the story I think that everybody dreams about, and it never happens to them, but then it happens to this kid.
I mean, what a stroke of luck. I mean, the guy was a fat ass and he lost weight, and now he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
Doing nothing else.
Well, I'm not sure if he is still, but we'll see. We'll get
right.
on. So in 2004, Jared created the Jared Foundation. That was an original name for the foundation.
Yeah, I wonder how he thought of that one.
A lot of creativity went into that. And that was aimed at childhood obesity, which is nice. So Jared would travel around the country and speak at schools. After his speeches, he would hang around, signed autographs, and play games with the students. Oh.
It's creepy.
The Jared
Like what?
Fogle.
Like hide the baloney or what? I mean, if your father was here, Tiffany, Dave would have said that before me.
I'm sure he would have.
So I'm just covering for him in his absence.
He'll appreciate that.
We appreciate that, Benny.
It's what I do.
Now, this I find absolutely unbelievable. So, although the Jared Foundation pledged to give $2 million in grants, this never happened, and the foundation was dissolved in 2012 for failure to pay a $5 registration fee in the state of Indiana.
Same price as one of his footlongs, right? How ironic. But I mean, typically when somebody has a foundation, in many cases, it's a game. It was a way for him to earn extra money and get donations, and he pledged to give all this money out, which he never did. He kept it all himself. He amassed a pretty big fortune pretty quickly.
That's disgusting. I don't.
Yeah, to have it expire for a $5 fee, it's ridiculous.
I guess when you pledge money, it's different than giving it, which I found out in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case, because she had said she pledged all this money to some foundation or something, but she never gave it to them. And apparently pledging it is just saying, I'll give it to you. It's not actually giving them the money.
Well, all right. So Tiffany's not going to remember this, but Brittany sure will. The Jerry Lewis cerebral palsy, or no, it was cerebral or muscular dystrophy, MD, wasn't it?
Yep.
But the telethon on Labor Day, and you would call.
Heard of it.
Okay, you would call and you would pledge. Back then that you didn't well, give me your credit card. You said I pledged $10. What's your name and address? And then I guess they'd send you a card, and then you'd mail. I guess if you chose to, you'd mail them a check. But that board always tracked the pledges. And now I wonder, if they had 1 million pledged, how much did they actually get?
I know.
Right.
You're right, though, Tiffany.
I know.
That's pledging is one thing, actually giving is another thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Amber taught us that.
Thank you, Amber Heard.
It's the only thing I'll thank her for.
I don't know. So, fill me in real quick on that. What happened? Because I didn't follow that trial very close.
Oh, it was just like a circus. It was just pure entertainment. I think everyone watched it. They had it on TV, so you could watch the whole thing. But she ended up, I don't really remember the specifics, but she didn't win the case. So yeah. But she's a little crazy. There was tons of crazy stories that she made up, or you'll have to watch it because it was actually really funny.
Benny, it is worth it. I'm not into that kind of stuff. I'm not a Johnny Depp fan. I didn't even know who Amber Heard was until she met and married him. But this was pure entertainment.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to
Really
check that out.
good.
Maybe we'll do it as a case one day.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
Although
worth
it's really
it.
not a crime, though. But
No. It was really funny though. All the memes they made, all the stuff Johnny Depp would say during the trial, hilarious.
I did hear that he got a few good one-liners off at these lawyers, though.
He got quite a bit. Yeah, it was funny.
It was great. You have to watch it. And I think it is worthy of an episode because she did allege a lot.
She did.
She did allege a lot. And I think she purely married him because of who he was. It sounded to me like she could give two you-know-whats about him.
Yeah.
But she certainly gave a lot of you-know-whats about his money. And she pooped in the bed. So.
I don't... Was it her
to...
or was it her friends? Remember they were all partying there?
It was her, and she said it was the dog.
She did.
And the dog weighs 5 pounds.
Yeah, the little dog. And it was a big poop.
That's what Johnny said.
All right, we have a comment in the chat room from Foxhole Willie. I want to read this, and I want to see what you guys think about this. He says, what if Fogle was the victim of a previous kid toucher would you still be poking fun at him, or would you feel different? I mean, if he was, yeah, of course. I mean, if he was a victim of child abuse, I would feel different. I mean, the only thing in my mind, the only person who abused Jared Fogle was Jared Fogle growing up. He abused food, and you don't become 400 pounds by accident. I've heard nothing other than the fact that he was a loner who liked to play video games and he liked to snack. And one day he woke up and he was 400 pounds. I mean, I've heard nothing about any abuse in his past. What about you guys?
I don't think I read anything about it. I mean, I don't know if I would feel any different, only because it's like, you're an adult, like, you know right from wrong, and you know what happened to you was wrong. So like, why would you do that to another person? Like, go to therapy and fix your stuff, like figure it out. Like, you're 20 something years old. Like, so I don't know. I just don't have sympathy for people that don't want to help themselves. And then all the victims too. Like, what about all the kids that he ended up doing that to? It's hard to have sympathy for him.
Right. And I haven't heard anything about anything like that happening to him. Would I feel different about it? A little bit, but would we still be doing this case? Yes. And would still be reporting the facts. And the facts are that he was a kid toucher and he was gross. So whether he had been touched in his past or not would not prevent us from doing this case.
Absolutely not.
That's my opinion.
I mean, if anything, wouldn't being abused, like, wouldn't that be the last thing that you did if it was so horrible? I mean, for me, that, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, although he had carefully cultivated the guy next door image, Jared began to engage in multiple affairs during his travels, as well as utilizing sex workers. He also began a long-distance love affair, I think it was one-sided, with Florida radio host Rochelle Herman. And this eventually caused his first wife, Elizabeth Christie, to file for divorce.
Doesn't this kind of remind you of Tiger Woods? This reminds me of, I mean, at least this part of it, not the pedophilia, but the serial dating while you're married. This is very Tiger Woods-esque, except instead of a drive shaft or a driver, he's using a footlong. But pretty much the same thing. I mean,
yeah, and he picked the wrong person to cheat on his wife with, because she screwed him real bad in the end. So
she dogged him, boy. Yes,
karma.
Definitely picked the wrong one.
Yep.
Yeah, and what's funny is, like, so there was so many things I wanted to say when you said she screwed him in the end, because I don't think she screwed him at all. And I think she had this planned from like Jump Street, not making fun of Johnny Depp now, but from Jump Street, I think she had this plan. She was not interested in him. No. She was not interested in having an affair with him or being sexual or even kissing him. And I don't think they ever did. But she played along on the phone and recorded him. And, as we get going, you'll find out the whole story.
Right. I mean, I just remember, and I'll bring it up, we could talk about it more later, but I heard the recording of him and her, and he was asking about putting cameras in the kids' rooms, and he said, like, well, which one would you like? And I honest to God believe that there was no way that she would acquiesce to that. She was just stringing him along and trying to give the guy enough rope where he hung himself. Which one do you want? I mean, he was dead serious. I think she was just playing him.
Totally. Yeah. That's
when she give an answer. Right. When she met him, he was she said that he said something that like kind of made her feel uncomfortable when they very first met. But then she was hanging out with him somewhere. I don't know where, if it was like at a hotel room. And again, he said something that made her really uncomfortable. And he went to the bathroom and she like ran out. And she never saw him again. And from that point on, it was all phone conversation.
Yeah. Well, he got handsy with her. And
Yeah,
that's
what it was.
half of the reason why she
Yeah.
took off while he was in the bathroom. And then he called her on her cell phone and she lied and said, "Oh, I got an emergency call about one of the kids. I'm so sorry I had to leave." But it was because he was, he wanted more during that hotel room visit.
Yeah, it's just crazy though, like how much he opened up to her and how much, like, he literally told her everything and he barely even knew her. It's just like,
I know. Live and learn, Jared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he just picked the wrong one.
Yeah, luckily
or thank God, actually, thank God he picked the right one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, she had enough sense to start recording and
right.
everything.
Although, I mean, and we'll get into it later, I think it took way, way too long for anybody, the police or Subway or anybody else to act on this. I mean, I think many of these victims could have been spared. And like I said, we'll talk more about that later. If the police or even Subway had acted in a more timely manner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Subway, and we might be talking about this later, but I think Subway received some type of complaint or tip or something.
Yeah,
about him.
We're going to get into that in a little bit. Yes,
He didn't
yes,
do
indeed.
anything. Yeah. All right, where are we? Jared befriended Russell Taylor, who would become Fogle's right-hand man and director of the Jared Foundation. Oh, he looks creepy. Eventually, Fogle would use Taylor, to create child pornography for his enjoyment. Fogle purchased Taylor a house, which he used to extort control over Taylor.
Oh.
Rochelle Herman became alarmed by Fogle's comments that he thought middle school girls were sexy. She went to the Sarasota, Florida Police Department, but was told that no charges could be filed against Jared just for a comment. She continued to collect evidence against Fogle and eventually went to the FBI, where she was again told that the evidence was not sufficient. She was told that without any physical evidence, the FBI would not pursue any investigation. Even though she had recorded statements from Fogle admitting that he slept with a 9-year-old girl, the FBI refused to accept the case. Herman eventually agreed to work with the FBI to collect additional evidence against Jared.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
That they did nothing.
Well, they were kind of giving her a little bit of crap during this because they were like, "Oh, you recorded him without his permission." And they were
about that?
"It's illegal, you broke the law." Like, giving her shit for doing that. And it's like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? He's a creep. And he's talking about he slept with a 9-year-old.
Ew.
Yeah. Russell Taylor was arrested. Sorry, hold on one second. Russell Taylor was arrested in 2015 on charges of child exploitation, possession of child pornography, and voyeurism. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 27 years in federal prison.
God.
Yeah, so Russell Taylor was living, he married this lady who had 2 young girls. And when he got arrested, it like came out that like he had video, like he had cameras up everywhere, like in the house, watching them shower, undress, like all types of crazy things. And like one of the girls said that one time she like went to shower and she came back and there was like a porn site like up on her computer with like a toy next to it, like wanting her to like look at it. Yeah.
Ew.
Like this guy, Russell Taylor, is just as creepy.
Oh, he was. Yeah. I think he actually had he had a huge influence on Fogle.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know who like started it. I don't know if it was Russell Taylor who started, like got Jared into like that type of like world, I guess, of child pornography and like sleeping with kids. I
really think that Taylor opened Jared's eyes as to like all the possibilities, because Taylor had an open marriage and I believe he was into bestiality too, like sex with
Oh.
I mean all kinds of like all kinds of really like weird stuff. So I really think not I mean Jared obviously was very open to to many of the ideas, but I do think that that Russell Taylor was a very, very strong influence on Jared Fogle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely really creepy. The investigation of Taylor showed that much of the child pornography was created at the request of Fogle. Well, I guess that answers our question.
There you go.
Authorities eventually obtained a search warrant for Fogle's phone, laptop, and home and found a thumb drive with thousands of images and videos made by Taylor or purchased on the dark web. They also found evidence that he engaged in multiple sex acts with minors. Jared Fogle was arrested on August 19th, 2015. That's Dangerous Dave's birthday. And
Oh, really? Okay.
It is. And entered into a plea agreement.
Of course it is.
Yeah. He admitted to charges of receiving
it's a
child
coincidence.
pornography and repeatedly having sex with minors. He agreed to pay $1.4 million in restitution to the victims and was sentenced to 15 years in prison with a possibility of parole. That's crazy that he could do everything. Who is that?
That's him in jail.
No.
Jared.
He looks
I think he's
very
getting
scary.
he's getting a BMT every day in prison.
Oh,
He looks really bad.
Yeah.
my
Like
God,
I said,
he's aged
I'm trying to film
57
for Dave.
years.
That's creepy looking.
Yeah, prison didn't do him any justice.
Wow, I guess Charlie Manson didn't look too bad for 80.
No.
No,
I guess
he
not.
aged well, actually, Manson.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of disgusting that he only got 15 years in prison.
I know.
And then Russell Taylor got 27. Like, that doesn't make any sense. They both did like the same thing.
I know.
A Subway franchise owner, Cindy Mills, informed Subway's corporate management in 2008 of Jared's sexual proclivities, but they chose not to act on this on the grounds that Jared was not an actual employee.
All right. So my first question is, and you just said it, Tiffany, that the other guy, Taylor, got 27 years. Was Jared's sentence not stiff enough? Pardon the pun. I mean, 15 years. That I
Definitely.
How do you
was
get
not.
15 years? I mean, with the lives that he ruined. I mean, how many lives did that guy wreck? And you're giving him 15 years?
Yeah, not only that. So when I was like doing my research, he engaged in these acts with kids in other countries, in other states. So because he did it in other states, it's like considered sex trafficking, I guess.
Yeah.
And he had like, there was the one girl, she was like 17 in New York, who he would go there and like do stuff with, and she would like send him pictures. And so like with just that alone, if that's considered sex trafficking, how does he only get 15 years in prison? Like, take away all the other victims, like that alone is a big deal.
Yeah. But I mean, you just said that this Cindy Mills, who he was another one he was having sex with, she went into 2008, she approached Subway management and they said, well, we can't really do anything, because he's not an employee. Well, how about fucking terminating his contract and, as a spokesperson? I mean, that would have derailed him, I think, because now at least, maybe you're not going to stop him, but you did cut off his money supply. And if it's made public, nobody else is going to hire him. Even if he wasn't arrested, just the rumors, I think would have, severely inhibited his ability to do what he did. But, Rochelle met him in 2007. And so like she met him in 2007. This one reported in the Subway in 2008. He wasn't arrested until 2015. How many victims suffered in those 7 or 8 years that could have been prevented?
Yeah. He went to Thailand a lot, and I guess that's where like he would engage in a lot of the activities with minors. And I don't know if it was just one boy like that he would go every time he would go, he would be with this young child. But yeah, he went to Thailand a lot, and
Right.
yeah, he's such.
All right, I get another quick comment from Foxhole Willie because I think this is important. Benny, you say Fogle wrecked many lives. I mean, I say that, but I mean, is that really in dispute? I mean, am I saying something that's like far fetched? But then he says, was Fogle wrecked as a kid too? Well, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, absolutely not. I've heard nothing about his childhood that would have led to this. Number one. Number two, I'm sorry, but it's still no excuse. You know, I mean, Foxhole, if you can produce some evidence that he was abused as a child, you know, I'll come back on next week, or we'll come back on and we'll say, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to apologize, though. I mean, the guy was a serial pedophile, and he wrecked many. I bet he wrecked, I mean, many more lives than we even know about.
Right.
Yeah.
So the guy was a rapist.
Right.
Why would anybody try to say, oh, because he was raped as a child, that means he can go on and rape 73 other children?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you got to part him. You got to, man, he had a rough upbringing. Well, who the hell doesn't? You know, I mean, so many people were abused, and they turn their lives around, and they learn from the abuse, like what not to do. And but there's absolutely no evidence. I'm sorry, Foxhole. And Foxhole is a great supporter of the channel, and I really like the guy. I think he's just way off base. You know, if you know something that I don't know, you know, please share. But like, I'm not going to speculate. I mean, we all did a lot of research for this show, and you know, if one of us had uncovered that he was in any way had abused or anything as a child, we would say it.
We would say it, but still, I don't think any of us would say, oh, well, then that explains it. Then he shouldn't have got 15 years. He only should have got 7. No, we're not going to say that. I don't care if he was touched or abused or molested as a child. That does not give him the right to go and do that to other people's children. He's a sick individual. I think Foxhole is a fan of Subway. That's what I think. I think he likes those turkey sandwiches.
I tell you what, you know, the first Subway on Long Island came out, I believe, in 1979. And I mean, I was there 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, I've eaten Subways for, you know, close to 50 years. I mean, and I liked the guy when he first did the commercial thing. Like, man, that's a great story. The guy lost 245 pounds. You know, just some kid from Indiana. Now he's a multimillionaire touring the world, doing these commercials. You know, the American dream. But like, sometimes dreams are nightmares, and this guy's a nightmare. And there's no excusing. Whether he was abused, tortured, you know, raped as a child, it still doesn't excuse what he did. And I'm sorry.
That's right.
You know, I agree. The prison that he's in supposedly is a very minimum, because somebody said something about prison justice. And I believe he was attacked in prison in 2016. But I don't think he's in the general population. I believe that I think he's in Colorado. I believe, I could be wrong. And it's supposedly a very small prison, and it's almost like a country club. I mean, they can work out, they have movies, they have access to, I believe, social media. It's not working on the chain gang or anything like that. But I have to believe if he was in any kind of like a medium security or maximum security prison, he would not last a day, because, you know, these prisoners have their own moral code. And, you know, somebody who's admitting having sex with a 9-year-old girl, I'm sorry, you're not going to last a day in prison. And
exactly,
you probably shouldn't last a day in prison. But I guess my point was, you know, this prison, supposedly, they're very strong on rehabilitation. Now, here's my question. I mean, to me, I have very strong views on pedophilia. And I believe, like, there's certain things, like, you know, if you're a gambler, maybe you can cure your gambling. You're a smoker. You're an alcoholic. You know, I believe you can overcome those addictions. And again, this is my opinion. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a retired accountant. I do not believe once you cross that line into pedophilia, I don't think there's any turning back.
I agree. And I feel that way about murder too. That's why there's so many, like you don't normally just murder one person and stop. Don't almost every one of them say, "Oh, it was such a thrill"?
Well, and that's
I mean, a thrill.
Jared, and I hope maybe he's learned his lesson since then, but he struck up when he was in prison, he struck up a relationship with a woman, and he wrote her a letter, and he was saying, like, I'm not a monster. I'm not as bad as they say that I am, and that the punishment was too harsh. And so obviously, like at that point, he hadn't owned it, and I don't know, maybe it's changed since then. But I mean, he wasn't owning it then.
Well, I was just looking, I was trying to look up where he was in jail. And I guess in like 2002, he like had an interview and he was saying like how he royally screwed up. So I guess that's the first time that he acknowledged that he screwed up, I guess. Like, you think?
I mean, honestly,
and I wonder, when somebody says I royally screwed up, are they saying they royally screwed up because they got caught?
Amen. If Bill Clinton was here, he'd
Right?
just say, "You just read my mind." That's exactly what I was thinking. Is he sorry because he got caught? You don't think he'd still be doing it? You think he would have a change of conscience? You think he's going to wake up one day and say, "Oh, I shouldn't be doing this anymore"? Hell no. It would have got worse, I think.
Well,
I agree.
The problem with him getting out of jail, because it's like he's not going to stop. Like, he obviously has a serious problem. Like, people that are pedophiles and do this to kids, they don't just wake up one day and they're like, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore." Like, it's an issue for their entire lives. So now he's going to get out of jail possibly, and then what?
And I believe he's still got some money left. He had to pay $1.4 million in reparations, but I know at one point he was worth $15 million. So,
my God,
yeah, isn't that insane?
That's so crazy. Just for being fat.
From being fat and then like eating Subway sandwiches. I mean,
That's so crazy.
His commercials. I mean, it wasn't like, "Oh, this guy's great." No, it just, he said his lines. He wasn't really anything special. He had a great story, but he wasn't very good at telling it. The story is good. He wasn't very good.
Right.
And I have to quick say hello to my bestie, the beautiful Katie Morgan. She is in the chat room. Hey, Katie. She was actually the one. She suggested this episode. So thank you, Katie. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Honestly, to me, the only rehabilitation is to cut his pee-pee off. That is the only way that he's not going to do this anymore. I'm sorry. And if that's harsh, I don't give a fuck. That's how I feel.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
When he's eligible for parole, I think, and I want to say 2027.
Yeah, because it's 13 years. He's eligible for parole after 13.
So, all right. So 2028, he'll be 51. Still a relatively young guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy's going to have to be monitored 24/7.
Yeah, like he'll have to register, like obviously, but that doesn't. What does that do? Like that does nothing. Like that doesn't stop him from going to commit the crime again.
Wait, Foxhole Willie, do we cut the pee-pee off Fogle's victims too? Like, what is that's ridiculous.
Foxhole Willie, I think you need to go to bed because you're saying some really
Foxhole, I love you, but you're way off base here because we are not minimizing. I mean, the whole idea is we are outraged that this was not stopped sooner and that there were many more victims than there should have been had either Subway or the police or the FBI, gotten off their asses and checked into this.
But like,
I don't get his point. Like we're not supporting it like him. He is a piece of shit. If he never got out of prison, I think that would be okay. If somebody, beat him to death in prison, would you guys shed a tear? I wouldn't.
No.
No way.
I wouldn't. But why would we cut the peepees off? Sorry, why
I
he's referring to it like
All
that.
right.
Why would we do that to the victims? Are the victims
They're the victims,
the ones?
right? And
They're
I'm just
victims.
saying
They're
that
not victimizing other people. If
not
victimize
one
other
of them
people, sure.
deserved this. They
Right.
were,
All right.
they fell victim to a very smart, a serial pedophile, and they're all going to suffer for the. I'm not a psychologist. I have to believe that every single one of them is going to think about that every day for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
And all because
Now,
of this guy.
Where does Willie live?
Under a rock.
I don't. Yeah, Foxhole. I'm sorry. I'm really surprised that
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Willie, I am up for another 3 hours. If you are local, I would like to meet you after this podcast.
I think Foxhole is in Massachusetts somewhere. He might be.
Good.
No,
Good.
he needs to go to bed, Brittany. He shouldn't be meeting anybody. He needs to go to bed.
I mean,
I'm sorry. Like, I believe, at some point in not in American society, but in the history of the world, when people did things like this, you know what? They got castrated.
Yeah.
And maybe old school justice. I mean, that's not going to happen, of course. But I think a guy like this, unless he is like monitored 24/7, I think there's a very good chance he's going to do it again. I mean, look what he did. And I don't think he was abused as a child, but I think what happened, and this is my theory, and it absolutely does not excuse what he did, but he came into a lot of money and a lot of fame all at once at a very young age. And now all of a sudden you are traveling the world and you have more money than you could spend in 10 lifetimes. Now, why you would turn to, now I could see, like, not that I can condone, I could see like maybe, you do the Tiger Woods thing. You have a girl in every, in every city, right? I mean, a girl, but I mean a woman. But why do you go to the dark side and you're looking for kids? That's just sick. And there's nothing in his past that supports him being sick. I think he just, got delusional from all the money and all the power and all the fame. What do you guys think?
They were saying, I don't know where I heard this, like that he obviously has like a problem with addictions because he was obviously addicted to food. And then he just switched his addiction to something else, which was child pornography and being a pedophile.
Yep. And that's very typical. Very, very typical.
Mm-hmm.
I know all too well a story about somebody that was a very, very, very bad alcoholic that tried every possible thing they could. This is a true story. Everything they could to stop. Nothing worked. And then finally something worked. And for the last 12 years of his life, he was a gambling addict, but didn't touch a drink and never gambled ever before. So I truly believe what you just said, that addictions just get replaced in most cases.
Yeah, because it just
and that's what
does the same,
it seems like.
Yeah, it does like the same thing to the dopamine and serotonin and everything in your brain. Like it doesn't matter what the addiction is, it gives you like the same high.
And here's the the $1 million question. Didn't he already do that? I mean, he replaced this food addiction to little kid addiction, right? I mean, he was addicted to food. You don't wake up 400 pounds by accident. He was addicted to food. He replaced that addiction to food to an addiction to porn, serial cheating on your wife and serial pedophilia.
Yeah. So I'd like to know, in the condition he's in right now and the way he looks now, what's his addiction now? Because it's certainly not food, and there's no Subway in there. He doesn't
look well. He does not look well at all.
I mean, he's almost unrecognizable, and he looks really, really, super thin. He said that he's been running 4 or 5 miles a day, probably away from his inmates who are probably trying to kill him, maybe. But
I was gonna say that.
But he said he's healthier than he's ever been. I don't think so. You don't look very healthy.
You know what that looks like? A mask that you buy at Spencer Gifts.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
like a Bill Clinton mask, or yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't
That
look
does.
good.
That looks like a skinny old man with one of those masks on that you buy at Spencer's. Like that face doesn't even look real.
Sorry,
Right.
I'm
It
reading
looks
the
so
comment.
unhealthy. And he's saying he's healthier than he's ever been.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
All right. We believe you, Jared.
But J.A. Will saying, did he get a wife after he got rich? I think the first wife he was dating, I think when he was in college, so before he got discovered by Subway. But once she found out that he was cheating with that Rochelle lady in Florida here. Yeah, Katie, you're right. Everything always, like, if anything is degenerate, somehow it always migrates down here. But so yeah, she divorced him once she found out he was cheating on her with Rochelle. But then I guess the second one married after that, and I guess she divorced him after he got arrested.
Sure.
But but the second one, yeah, then he was already world famous. But it was before, I guess, any of the scandal.
Yeah, she divorced him like as soon as it like broke that he did this, she like filed for divorce.
Yeah.
Do you blame her? I mean, I would be so horrified to find out the person that is my husband is doing stuff like that. I mean, that is it gives me the chills, it gives me the creeps, it gives me it just totally skeeves me out that a person could do that kind of thing. But imagine the person that you're married to, you have his last name, you sleep with him every night right next to him, maybe a dog in between, I don't know, but you get my point. And to think that you open his computer up and just say you find thousands of these things. I don't know what I would do. I think if there was a gun in the house, I probably would grab it and go upstairs and take care of it myself.
Do a Lorena Bobbitt, maybe.
At the very least.
Right.
And he has kids too.
Yeah, he's got 2 children. Yeah.
He has 2 kids. I was just looking it up to just double check before I said that he had kids because I was like, I'm pretty sure he does. And he has 2 kids, Brady and Quinn. So
they got to be teenagers by now, at least, right? I think.
Yeah, the first one was born in 2011. The second was born in 2013.
All right, so about 12 and 14 and 12.
So
yeah, I wouldn't want him.
Wife then, right?
Yes, I wouldn't want him.
Oh my God, that makes it so much worse.
Yeah,
that's bad enough just to have your husband do that. But you have what, 2 little boys?
No, Quinn's a girl and Brady's a boy.
Okay. A boy and a girl. Oh my God.
And they're the age that he would that he liked to.
Well,
yeah.
I have to say this on the air. I think women are about 187 times smarter than men. And I'm going to say that. And so, yeah, and I mean, at least I'm man enough to own that. But, I think I'm thinking surely the second wife had to know that he was at least cheating on her. And maybe my suspicion is that she opened his laptop or whatever, just trying to find evidence that he was being, that he was unfaithful. And then, I mean, imagine this. I mean, that's got to be like a double gut punch because now you're finding out not only is your husband unfaithful, but he's a pervert.
Yeah. He's a rapist. He's a pedophile. He's sick.
I would just be terrified because of the 2 kids. Like my mind would go to, has he touched my kids?
Exactly.
I'd be freaking out about that.
Yeah, but that had to be absolutely horrifying. As a man, my dad always told me that when you're driving, when he was teaching me how to drive, he said, always drive like there's a police officer in the back seat. And it was great advice because, what are you going to do if there's a cop in the back seat? You're not going to speed. You're not going to run a red light. You're going to stop at stop signs, right? You're always going to have your turn signal on. And so, but at the same time, if you're a man and you're in a relationship, you have to always assume that your wife or your girlfriend has a camera and you're mic'd up and you're on 24/7 TV. Like, what was that show? Was it the movie The Truman Show?
Yeah.
With Jim Carrey?
Yeah, The Truman Show.
Yeah, you have to assume that you are, because eventually, if she doesn't know, she's gonna know. So if
you always find out everything.
Yeah, so if you behave on that premise, like, that whatever you do is going to be found out, like, maybe you'll behave yourself. I just think, like I said, Babe Ruth, when Babe Ruth grew up in an orphanage, I don't know if I'm sure a lot of the people in the chat know that, but he grew up in an orphanage in Baltimore, Maryland. He was discovered, at the orphanage, I believe, by the Boston Red Sox. And but now you got a kid who grew up in an orphanage, and even when he was a teenager, he was still in the orphanage. 5 years later, he's making more money than the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Which back then was a big deal. I mean, he made more money than anybody in baseball. All of a sudden, everybody knows who this guy is. He can go anywhere. And, he's got, women are going to throw themselves at him. And he's got the money to do whatever he wants. And he was the same way. I mean, it just went to his head because he never had really much of anything. I mean, Jared, I don't think Jared was, my understanding, I think his dad was actually a doctor. So, I mean, they had means. It wasn't like he grew up poor. He just, he was, and I don't know why he played. Maybe he just liked video games. And, as long as you're playing video games, I might as well have a bag of potato chips.
Well, I guess that goes along with the addiction thing. So, like, video games are part of that too. So I'm wondering if he had like an addiction with the video games. That's how all of it started. And then he was just eating, and he has problems.
He has a very addictive personality, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's one thing to be a chubby kid. You're hitting 400 pounds. I mean, I'm trying to do some quick calculations. You have to eat at least 6,000 calories a day to maintain 400 pounds. And the average person's eating like 2,000, 2,500. You're eating 2 or 3 times more than the average person every day, consistently.
Wow.
That's a lot.
But I mean, I do give him a lot of credit. I mean, I give him a lot of credit for, doing something about it. And, just fortunately there was a Subway right on campus. And, I have to believe, I'm going to believe that all actually happened. I wonder if he made all that shit up too, but I'm going to say that really did happen. Wouldn't that be funny if that was made up too?
Well, I have to tell you, before the bad stuff ever happened, I totally doubted his story. Way before that ever happened. I just went, no way, not that fast. No way.
You think he had like surgery? Like a gastric sleeve or something?
Hey, what if Daddy was the gastric
my friend Katie's making
surgeon.
a reference to Dr. Nozarden. Yeah, maybe he went to Dr. Now.
Dr. Now. Oh my God.
How you all doing?
Maybe he should have gone to Dr. Now because he would have put him in his place and told him he was overweight and gross.
Yeah,
wouldn't it be funny if we did some more research and we found out that his dad was Dr. Fogle, the gastric bypass doctor?
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's a great story. It just did not have a very good ending. That's what a tragedy. It
really is.
We're talking about, I mean, he'd still be the spokesperson for Subway. He'd probably be worth $100 million. He had a beautiful house in Indiana, 2 beautiful kids. Like, that's not enough for you? I guess not.
Certainly
not. He totally screwed his life up.
And his families, too. Imagine being his ex-wife and especially his children.
Right. I wonder what happened to all of his money, though. Like, did they get all of it?
I'm sure the 2 ex-wives got a nice chunk of that.
I hope so.
Number one. And then he had to pay reparation. He had to pay $1.4 million to the victims, which, I mean, that's just chump change compared to the suffering they had to go through. But I mean, I think he still has about $3 or $4 million left. So I mean, he's going to come out of jail being a millionaire, not having to work. He's going to have all the time in the world. Now, I mean, the good thing is, well, I don't know. I was going to say he's recognizable, but you know what? As of right now, he's really not recognizable. I didn't recognize him.
No, I
No
didn't know who
way,
that
I would
was.
never.
I was like, who is that? He doesn't look
I know.
well.
Nope, he
Right.
definitely doesn't look well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like it's from running either.
Maybe he's on the Ozempic in there.
I don't know. It looks a little worse than that, too.
He looks. It's almost like he doesn't look like a real person.
I know.
He looks like he's artificial, like he's created in a
man.
lab, like with AI.
His face was like shiny. It looked like a mask. I'm telling you. Baby,
Yeah.
put that up again, would you?
Yeah, let me put that up again. Hang on.
Let's look now. I'm telling you.
He just
His
that picture
big
just
for his mouth.
creeps me. It creeps me out looking at this picture. Like I get
I know.
weird feelings looking at this picture. Like
His teeth are too big for his mouth, and the hairline looks like someone drew it.
Like if I saw
Ew.
that on the street, I would be scared. I would cross the street and be like, I don't want to be near that man because
I know. If I was walking down the street, I would run into the nearest subway if I saw that.
Well, the Class Project, who is Mike DiGregorio, who is on our great new show, Classic Wrestling Podcast with the WFIA, said that, let me see what he said. He will be on a flight to Belize as soon as he is out of prison. That might be the best thing for him, actually.
Yeah.
Probably
Because I really think if he's on the streets, I don't think he's. I think it's not going to end well for him. People are going
He'll
to
probably go to like Thailand or something because that's where he used to go a lot. And if he was to get caught or whatever over there, like what are the laws and like would anybody even like report him? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if I were
Makes you
them,
wonder.
I'd ban him from the country, but I don't know if they're going to do that.
I doubt
He'd
it.
probably go after his victims' grandchildren by the time he gets out.
I just like I haven't heard anything like, even David Berkowitz, and I don't know how true it is, but I mean he's been doing it for years. He accepted Jesus Christ and he's been a practicing I think he actually conducts a prison ministry. And I mean, now is he really reformed? I mean, it's a hell of an act because he's been doing it for probably like 45 years, like, half a century almost. But, again, how do you go from killing, I think he killed 6 people and he wounded like 5 others. How do you uncross that line?
I know.
I just don't see it. I mean, I can see maybe you could stop, you can refrain from doing it, but you're still that person. I'm sorry.
So I'm looking up the Thailand laws and like if he got caught over there. So anyone under 15 who is not your wife or husband. So I don't know if you can just get married when you're 15. I have no idea. You would get 4 to 20 years, and then children cannot consent to sexual intercourse. If the child is under the age of 13, the term of imprisonment increases from 7 to 20 years.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then
he's going to get himself in a big pickle.
If the crime was committed using the threat of a weapon, the offender will be given the potential penalty of life imprisonment. So it seems like their laws are probably actually a little bit harsher over there.
Yeah.
Than it is over here.
So if he like threatened them with a turkey sub, he could get life in jail?
Yes.
Yeah. Guilty of assault with a $5 footlong, right? You hang at noon.
Assault with a veggie delight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
some of these things that Thailand, like some of their like the laws that apply to this, like one of them is called pimping. Like if you pimp, you get like 7 to 20 years in prison.
Wow.
So weird.
Bring those laws over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see a future for him here. What could he possibly do?
No, he'd have to change his last name. He could probably get away with walking around like he looks now and nobody would know him.
Maybe him and
But,
Casey Anthony can go live together in Florida somewhere.
Well, then your dad would be all depressed though, wouldn't he? Because that's his gal.
That's true.
Although I don't know,
That's true.
he said something about Amber Heard giving her a diamond ring if she pooped in his bed. He said that earlier in the chat.
I think Jodi Arias is still available. I think maybe he could seek her out.
I think he's just desperate. Yeah, Jared would have made a great ring boy for Vince Patterson and Mel Phillips. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
You know it.
Yeah.
Oh God, he would have.
I'm not even entirely sure what he was talking about.
Katie has a good question. So in Thailand, what is the age of consent? Like did it say that, Tiffany, what the age of consent is for a female?
It seems like it's if you're over 15.
Okay.
That's sad.
Yeah, it seems like 15 is like adult, I guess, because it seemed like from what I was reading that you could be married. So it was like if you're married to the 15-year-old, it's different, like if you sexually assault them. But if you're not married to the 15-year-old, then you go to jail.
How old was Elvis's wife when he married her, Priscilla? She was kind of young.
I think she was like
16, wasn't she?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then I think Jerry Lee Lewis's wife was like real 13. Young. I don't know the exact age, but
I think she was 13.
Yeah.
And wasn't she his like cousin's child or something?
That I don't know, but I mean yeah.
Oh Lord,
this world is sick.
I mean, and I don't know about you, but when I first heard it, like I was absolutely shocked. Like, no way, Jared, it can't be. Like I was really sad about it. I mean, it's like, no, tell me it's not so. Like I was hoping it wasn't true because I liked the guy. I mean, he really, he had a great story. He'd been doing it for years. I mean, he was, trying to help kids with obesity. He seemed like a very positive person, but it just goes to show you, what does it say in the Bible? Beware of the wolf in sheep's clothing. He's the ultimate proof of that.
It just seems like anyone who is like famous or has like any money, like that's the new thing is that like they have like sex trafficked or done something with like children. Like it's just, I don't know what's going on in this world. Like P. Diddy.
That'll be one of our cases eventually. I'm sure.
It should.
I think so too.
Got to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got to keep your dad in line. We don't want him being a case there, Tiffany.
No.
I don't think that'll happen. But I think he's mostly talk like I am. But
he is.
One half of the deplorables. Dangerous Dave.
Yep, the deplorables.
I like that. That's a great nickname. I think Brittany, aren't you our manager, or you? Both of you guys are our managers. I guess. Who knows? Dave laid the whole thing out, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, he's got quite the plan.
Yep. But all right, guys, we might as well put a wrap on. I think we kind of beat this to death. No pun intended. But like, man, oh man, this is something you could talk about for hours and hours, and it would still, we would still have stuff to say. But did want to thank the usual suspects. Let me, Jason, RJ, even Foxhole Willie. I don't see him anymore. My bestie, Katie Morgan, Beth the Playmate was here. Jay Will. Phil DeCesare, the president, Maria, the first lady of wrestling. Somebody new. Where did he go? There, Sir Drums. Yeah, I haven't seen him before. The Class Project, Mike DiGregorio from Saturday's show. Thank you, everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. But like I say every time, we will never have a shortage of these pieces of crap to talk about. So make sure you subscribe to the Monty NFR YouTube channel so you won't miss any episodes. Please do not forget to join yours truly and Dan Sebastiano tomorrow night at 7 for Dan and Benny in the Ring, as well as Wednesday night at 7 when I'll be hosting the great new show, When It Was Real, I'm tongue-tied over this Jared thing. Starring author and WWF historian Nikita Brezhnikov. This week, and this is going to be a really good episode. Brittany, I think you'll like this. We're going to be covering the careers of the great lady wrestlers of the WWF in the 1970s. And boy, there were some good ones.
Nice.
So if you're a fan of old school wrestling and want to take a great trip in the wrestling Wayback Machine, this show is for you. So for the bad girl and Tiffany Starr, this is One and Only Playa telling everyone to stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Good night, folks.
Bye.
Bye.